This week on The Breakout,
1 year anniversary of Ice Pact.
and we're going to dive into a new Pentagon memo on drones. It's going to matter for you whether you design drones, or you manufacture drones, or you sell drones, or you buy drones, or you fly drones. Welcome to The Breakout. I'm Lee Farron, Managing Editor of Breaking Defense. I'm here with
Justin Katz. I am the Naval Warfare Reporter.
We brought Justin on to talk about Ice Pact. We're 1 year out from the announcement of Ice Pact. Ice Pact is an agreement between Finland and Canada and the US for Arctic cutters, icebreakers in the high north. What was the announcement at the time beyond that?
Yeah, so last year at the NATO summit, President Joe Biden, along with the Prime Minister of Canada and the President of Finland, announced Ice Pact. And generally speaking, Ice Pact is meant to boost icebreaker production for all three of the countries involved. You know, it was very early on at that stage, so we didn't get a super clear picture of how they were going to do that. But what we do know is that all three countries are very concerned about the rising icebreaker production of both Russia and China.
Right, because as the ice melts in the polar north, sea lanes are going to open up. It's becoming a security concern for any of the countries in the north. And one issue, like you mentioned at the time, there weren't a lot of details announced when the Ice Pact was announced. There haven't been a ton since, and we've had a new president come in. President Trump had a bit of a different take on the two countries involved.
Exactly. You know, when President Joe Biden announced Ice Pact, he was very much engaged in multilateral diplomacy. He wanted to involve as many allies as he could. President Trump seems to be more about bilateral relations. He has been very harsh in his condemnation of Canada, you know, justified or unjustified. And he seems to have a very positive relationship with President Alexander Stubb.
So you spoke to experts for a story you did about this, and they kind of said it's unclear the health of Ice Pact, even though the need for icebreakers is certainly still there. Trump has said he wants to buy as many as 40, and he has praised Alexander Stubb quite a bit. They were unclear about what role Canada might play.
Exactly. At this point, we know that the president wants more icebreakers. How much he involves Canada is very much a big question.
Sure.
And even though he does seem to have a very good relationship with the president of Finland, based on what I've heard from folks, American industry is very concerned because the president is talking about simply buying icebreakers from Finland. American industry wants to build icebreakers, not send tax dollars to go buy them.
Right, so it's unclear right now what the details are, how exactly the White House plans to go about this. We did ask the White House for comment. They didn't respond to our questions. We asked the Coast Guard about the health of Ice Pact, and they pointed to a statement they made not long ago, essentially saying it is a critical initiative that they are looking to pursue, just as they said before. So we're going to stick on it, see where it goes from here. When we come back, we're going to bring in Carly Welsh to talk about some drones.
At Leonardo DRS, our agility helps bring the ability to dominate in any scenario, on any platform, helping our warfighters accomplish the mission and get home safely. Leonardo DRS, our agility, your advantage.
All right, we're back. I brought on Carly Welsh, who's our networks and tech reporter. Carly, we're talking about drones, specifically small drones, and a memo that came out of the Pentagon late last week. What happened?
Yeah, so Secretary Hegseth released a memo on Thursday titled Unleashing U.S. Military Drone Dominance. It kind of went over three big things. And so the first thing that the memo does is it rescinds some restrictive policies. The DoD officials find some of the old policies from the Biden administration surrounding drones a little too restrictive, a little too burdensome, kind of hinders services from getting their own small UASs.
Right, and then
the second thing is that it mandates U.S. Army squads to have their own one-way attack drones by the end of fiscal 2026.
And kind of unclear exactly how that's really going to shake out, but also clearly a lesson from Ukraine where it seems necessary for squads to have their own FPV one-way attack drones is going to be a big push for the military going forward. But you are most interested in the third part of this, which has to do with the Blue UAS list. What is that?
Yeah, so the Blue UAS list is a program that is formally run by the Defense Innovation Unit, and it's basically a program that creates a directory of all drones that are free of adversarial parts, namely China.
Yeah, so they're concerned about Chinese parts or from other adversaries getting into the drone supply line, and that being a national security concern. So if you're on the blue list, that means basically you've been checked out.
Yep.
Pretty much. So that's going to change from DIU to where?
The DCMA, the Defense Contract Management Agency. So the memo outlined that starting January 1st of 2026, the DIU will hand over the reins to the DCMA. However, the DIU will still be heavily involved in the process.
So what does that change mean? Why would they want to do that?
Yeah, so I kind of think the overall view is that this will help with the blue list. It'll kind of hoist it up, give it more power, give it more oomph, if you will. The DCMA has more people, has more funding opportunities than the DIU. So this will really try to get secure drones in the hands of the warfighters.
And the industry seems cautiously optimistic about this so far. You spoke to someone heavily involved?
Yes, so Michael Robbins, he is the CEO of AUVSI, which is a drone trade group. He said that while this is a good move, the 2026 budget, it needs more funding for small drones.
Wouldn't exactly be the first industry group to say that the thing they advocate for needs more funding, of course. So we're going to watch how all this shakes out in the budget and on the ground for soldiers. Remember to like and subscribe to all these videos so you get them in your inbox when they're ready. Sign up for our newsletter on our website. And where else are we?
We're on podcast platforms. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we're there.
There you go. So check us out there. We'll see you next time.